Roadhouse looks like it should be simple. A bar movie, a bouncer, neon sweat, broken glass, a mullet that became a punchline. One rule that sounds polite until you hear it like a threat. But behind the swagger, the Double Deuce chaos, this movie played it dead serious. A longer cut that vanished, leaving the trailer behind like evidence. A haircut that was never a joke, just a choice Swayze never forgave. A real-life link between Dalton and Wesley that still feels mean to say out loud. These are 10 weird facts about Roadhouse, the brawler that refused to stay dumb and somehow became a legend. Number 1. Roadhouse wasn't always the tight, bruised bar brawler people quote today. Early cuts ran close to 2.5 hours, almost unthinkable for a movie built on fists, beer, and a bouncer who talks like a philosopher. Then, the knife came out in the edit. The runtime got carved down, the pacing got meaner, whole little moments vanished. But the trailer didn't fully catch up, because if you watch that theatrical promo closely, it flashes bits the finished movie never delivers. Extra lines, different angles, small character beats that make you swear you already saw them, until you're sitting in the film and they never arrive. Trailers get cut before the final lock, so they pull from footage that still feels usable. With Roadhouse, that mismatch is so clean, it feels like accidental proof. The trailer proves Roadhouse didn't lock in clean. It shifted, it cut, it changed. And the next change wasn't a scene, it was a person. Number 2. Dalton's love interest was never supposed to be decoration. Doc is the one person who can look at this professional bouncer myth and treat him like a man, not a legend. If that relationship feels fake, every fight starts feeling like noise. That's why the first casting swing mattered. Annette Bening wasn't just in the mix. She was cast as Doc. Then they tested the pairing, and the room got quiet, in that brutal way Hollywood gets quiet when it knows. The spark wasn't there. No scandal, no explosion, just a cold read and the same thought landing on everyone at once. You can't edit chemistry into existence. Kelly Lynch stepped in, and the romance changed temperature immediately. Doc still has the intelligence the role needs, but now she has teeth. She can flirt without dissolving. She can challenge Dalton without turning soft. Next to Swayze, the scenes start humming with tension, like the love story is part of the danger instead of a time out from it. One casting decision didn't just fix a subplot. It helped lock the movie's tone into something rougher, sharper, more physical. And that same no pretending attitude showed up everywhere else too, especially when it came time to throw punches. Number 3. The Double Deuce fights don't look choreographed. They look like a room losing control. Elbows flying, bodies slipping, a flash of laughter for half a second, then pain snapping it back into place. Director Rowdy Harrington chased that on purpose. He wanted controlled chaos, not pretty action ballet. So the production leaned on the actors in a way most studio movies avoid. The vibe wasn't let the doubles do it. It was learn it, take it, sell it. Patrick Swayze trained like the job came with a real fight license, working with kickboxing legend Benny the Jet Urquidez, a guy known for screen fight work and for spotting a poser fast. Swayze didn't move like a poser. He moved clean enough that Urquidez talked about him like someone who could have competed if he'd chosen that life. Then, the set proved what that choice cost. Sam Elliott said the actors did their own fighting, and he spent most of the shoot getting hit. Not movie tap contact, the kind that leaves sore ribs, taped hands, ice between takes, and then you're right back in the pile. That's why the violence lands like it's happening inches from your face. The camera didn't fake the damage. The cast carried it. And sometimes that kind of damage doesn't stay inside the movie. Number 4. The hit that may have changed Patrick Swayze's next era was not a punch. It was his knee. Roadhouse demanded real contact, real slips, real bodies colliding in tight space. And the story that followed says the wear caught up with him fast. The injury was serious enough that recovery time started rewriting his calendar. Not the fun kind of rewrite. The kind where you look at big offers and realize you cannot limp through them without paying for it on screen. That is where the alternate timeline starts to haunt the movie. Predator 2 gets brought up as a lane he could have taken, with Swayze rumored as an early choice before Danny Glover stepped in. Tango and Cash lives in the same conversation. Loud action, studio muscle, a version of Swayze locked into toughness full time. Instead, the knee forced a pivot. He chose Ghost. Romance, grief, softness, and a kind of movie stardom that does not need a bar fight to prove power. It is the sharpest irony in his career map. Roadhouse tries to brand him as a threat. The injury pulls him away from bigger action. Then the next role makes him untouchable anyway. And when he circled back to Roadhouse in the public mind, the studio only needed one weapon left: his image. Number 5. That haircut wasn't a joke. It was strategy. The studio didn't want Dalton looking like a polished movie star who wandered into a bar and started preaching manners. They wanted him rougher, more work working class, more believable as the guy who walks into the Double Deuce and makes rules feel like weapons. So the mullet got pushed onto Swayze like part of the uniform, a visual warning label. He hated it, not mildly. He later called the mullet the bane of his existence, and you can feel why. It hands critics an easy punchline even while he's playing Dalton with that calm, watchful seriousness. But the weapon worked too well. On set, the look turned him into a magnet. Women were reportedly following him and throwing themselves at him so aggressively he needed bodyguards just to keep a lane open. The haircut he wanted to escape didn't just sell the character, it turned him into a walking poster. When filming wrapped, he cut it off fast. Clean slate, no nostalgia. The audience didn't follow him. They kept the mullet. They kept Dalton. Roadhouse turned his least favorite haircut into the image that never left. Number 6. The movie keeps saying Jasper, Missouri, like it is a real dot on the map you could drive to and get into trouble by accident. That name does half the work. Small town, trap town, a place where one bar can poison the whole ecosystem. But the ground truth is colder. They didn't film in Jasper at all. Roadhouse was shot in California, and Missouri was something they built with angles, dust, and attitude. Even Dalton's barn hideout was part of that manufactured geography, the kind of place that feels forgotten on purpose, even when it is sitting near a crew truck. And the Double Deuce? The most famous location in the whole movie was not a legendary real bar you can visit. Its exterior was built for the production, then torn down after filming like it existed only long enough to get smashed and mythologized. Some interior work used a real Anaheim bar that later closed, which makes the place feel even more ghost-like in hindsight. Then Joel Silver pushed the final shove. The first pass looked too clean, so they roughed it up until it finally looked like the kind of room where rules get tested with fists. Jasper was the label. The Double Deuce was the lie that had to look dangerous. Now listen closely, because Swayze didn't only bring bruises to this movie. Number 7. Most stars show up, hit their marks, throw the punches, and leave the music to somebody else. Roadhouse didn't. Because the Double Deuce isn't just a location, it has a pulse. The Jeff Healey band is right there in the bar, playing like the room is alive, and the trouble is keeping time. Then the movie slips in a weird little flex most people miss. Patrick Swayze isn't only selling Dalton's calm menace with his eyes and his fists. He's on the soundtrack too, not as a gag, not as a celebrity novelty track, as a real voice in the movie's world, blending into that late 80s mood so smoothly most people never realize it is him. He sang 2 songs tied directly to the film, Raising Heaven and Hell Tonight and Cliff's Edge, and the story goes he even wrote one of them, which means Dalton wasn't just built with fighting training and movie star aura, he was built with sound. The same man trying to teach a bar how to behave is also quietly singing over the wreckage. So Roadhouse didn't just give Swayze a character, it let him shape the atmosphere around the violence. Number 8. The 1989 Roadhouse makes Dalton feel like a legend with rules, calm, patient, almost surgical. He walks into the Double Deuce, studies the rot, builds a team, and treats violence like a last resort with a stopwatch on it. The 2024 remake flips the spine. Dalton becomes Elwood Dalton, a former UFC fighter, and the job isn't clean up a Missouri nightmare. It's survive a Florida Keys bar, where trouble shows up like weather. And instead of a rich town king like Brad Wesley, you get a different kind of threat. Conor McGregor as a loud, unpredictable human wrecking ball who doesn't feel like power. He feels like impact. That one change rewrites the rhythm. The original plays like a barroom myth you can follow step by step. The remake goes shinier, faster, meaner, with fights that land quicker, and consequences that move differently. It is less about a professional setting boundaries, and more about a fighter trying not to get dragged into constant chaos. Same title, same bones, different bloodstream. The next question is why the original got sold to audiences like a completely different movie in the first place. Number 9. The studio did not sell Roadhouse as a new action movie. They sold it as Patrick Swayze's next chapter. Dirty Dancing made him the dream. Roadhouse was the campaign that said the dream is over. That is why the early promo leaned into a blunt pivot. Same star, same heat, new promise. You already loved him gentle. Now watch him dangerous. It was designed to pull Dirty Dancing fans into a bar fight without making them feel like they bought the wrong ticket. And here is the sly part. The movie helps the lie land. Roadhouse uses Otis Redding's These Arms of Mine during Dalton and Doc's love scene, the same song Dirty Dancing used for its first big love scene with Swayze and Jennifer Grey. That is not random. That is a deliberate echo, a musical handshake that says, yes, it is still him. Now watch what he does with it. So the posters did not have to explain the shift. The soundtrack already did. Same arms, different damage. Number 10. Roadhouse hit in May 1989 with a real studio push behind it, and it still pulled about $61.6 million on a $15 million budget. The audience showed up. The violence landed. The legend started forming in real time. Critics did not care. They treated the whole thing like a dare that should not exist. A philosopher bouncer. A romance stuffed inside a brawl. A script preaching be nice while bodies fly through glass. Roger Ebert pinned it with the cleanest insult possible, calling it a good bad movie, not a disaster. A joke that accidentally works. Then the industry piled on officially. Roadhouse got 5 Razzie nominations, including Worst Picture, Worst Actor for Swayze, Worst Supporting Actor for Ben Gazzara, plus Worst Director and Worst Screenplay. That should have been the end. Instead, it became fuel. The movie later got celebrated in the official Razzie Movie Guide as one of the 100 most enjoyably bad movies ever made. A roast turned into a recommendation. A punchline turned into a handshake. They tried to hand Roadhouse a tombstone. Fans picked it up and used it as a trophy. Bonus fact: Dalton and Brad Wesley feel like a myth. One is calm control with fists like punctuation. The other is smiling rot with money behind it. Two men built to collide, then vanish when the credits roll. Real life did not let them vanish. Patrick Swayze, the face of Dalton's cool restraint, died of pancreatic cancer on September 14, 2009, at 57. Ben Gazzara, who played Wesley like polite poison, died of pancreatic cancer too on February 3, 2012, at 81. Same disease, same cruel echo, only a few years apart. Roadhouse ends with a town finally exhaling after the storm. Their story ends with the storm choosing both men anyway. So drop a comment with your favorite scene to honor 2 legends who made this bar fight feel like a modern myth. That's the strange magic of Roadhouse. It isn't good taste. It's a mood, a bruised little myth about order, violence, and the thin line between control and chaos. A movie critics laughed at, while audiences kept passing it down like a secret. If this one still lives in your head, hit like and subscribe. And if you want to keep this one close, you can grab it through the link below. Because the rule that makes the whole thing dangerous is still the only one that matters. Be nice until it's time not to be.